Senator, and thank you, Minister. And the next one is Senator Donnghaile, and Minister Daly is dealing with this as well. It's regarding blood donation. So, if Senator Donnghaile would like to outline his case, you have 4 minutes, Senator.
Minister Daly, you're very welcome, and I appreciate this is obviously a very busy period for you and government colleagues, not least the Minister for Health, so I understand his inavailability to be with us this afternoon. Minister, I think it's fair to say that we can all concede the best elements of our healthcare services work best when they work together, when they work unified right across the island and deliver good, positive healthcare for people right across all of our 32 counties. That's demonstrable in children's paediatric cardiac services, where children from the north are able to avail of world-class service here in Dublin. The cross-border cancer care provision provided by Donnghaile Hospital, which has seen significant investment from the Executive and indeed the Government here as well. This issue came to my attention actually from talking to work colleagues here in Leinster House, people who were resident in the north or in Britain, who maybe formally donated blood here in the state or wanted to upon coming home, and found that because they were resident in either the north or Britain, were unable to donate that blood because of the vCJD crisis, or the mad cow's disease, BSE. We all remember it from that time. So really what I'm asking for is, given the positive understanding we have of cross-border cooperation and indeed the identifiable need for additional blood donations within this jurisdiction, if there is any consideration moving forward to reviewing that ban with a view, ultimately I would contest more positively, to actually lifting the ban, and given that passage of time, if there is indeed scientific and medical evidence that points towards us allowing and freeing people up. A number of them, actually, of the people who said to me, are actually members of the other House. Maurice Quinlivan, Owen O'Brien, who was a Belfast City Councillor during the period, Rose Conway-Walsh, who is our group leader here in the Seanad, who was working in Britain at the time, all of whom would wish to step up and heed the call from the Minister, the Government and the Department. So,
and thank you very much, Senator. The remit of the Irish Blood Transfusion Service is to provide a safe, reliable and robust blood service to the Irish health system. A major objective of the IBTS is to ensure that it always has the necessary programmes and procedures in place to protect both the recipients and the donors of blood and blood products. The IBTS constantly keeps all deferral policies under review to ensure the ongoing safety of blood and the products derived from it. The IBTS currently has a permanent deferral policy in place for individuals that have resided for more than 1 year in the United Kingdom, including Northern Ireland and the Channel Islands, between the years 1980 and 1996. This policy is designed to prevent the risk of transmission of variant CJD to recipients of blood transfusions. A new case of variant CJD was indicated by the UK in 2016, and as a consequence of this, a decision was taken by the IBTS at that time that no change would be made to the measures in place to mitigate the risk of transmission of variant CJD in the short term. The IBTS now feels that sufficient time has elapsed to consider whether the measures in place to prevent the transmission of abnormal prion from the food chain and the resultant risk of asymptomatic individuals being a threat to the blood supply can be reassessed. The Medical and Scientific Director of the Irish Blood Transfusion Service will make a presentation on the current state of evidence on the transmission of variant CJD via blood transfusion to a specially convened meeting of the IBTS Medical Advisory Committee in July. The meeting will be presented with the most up-to-date information on the risk of variant CJD. This may lead on to a risk assessment being carried out to inform whether a change to current donor selection guidelines with respect to people that have resided in the UK for a cumulative period of 12 months or more during the period 1980 to 1996 is warranted or not. If the Medical Advisory Committee feel that a case might be made for a change in the deferral policy, further consideration of all aspects of the matter will be undertaken with the input of relevant experts. If the outcome of the deliberations of the Medical Advisory Committee and the subsequent expert input indicates that the IBTS could safely relax the current deferral policies in regard to variant CJD, then a case for such changes will be made to the board of the IBTS. It is acknowledged that the current deferral arrangements in place for variant CJD can be frustrating for members of the public who find themselves unable to donate blood. However, the safety of the blood supply must remain paramount. The focus of my department will at all times be to ensure the provision of a quality supply of blood to the Irish health system. Decisions and charges to deferral policies for blood donation must always be supported by rigorous scientific and medical evidence.
Brief supplementary, Senator.
Carlock, Minister, I thank you for your concise response. I think there's a glimmer of hope in there, and I always try and look for one. So I look forward to the IBS or the IBT, as Cumalaiscal, bringing forward that is review and indeed the assessment in July of this year, and I'm sure we'll watch it closely, as will the government.
Thank you. That concludes that matter. Thank you, Senator, and thank you, Minister.